This is Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird. Painted in 1940 by Mexican artist Frida Kahlo, it's not about to win any awards for the most imaginative title, but it's one of the 55 self-portraits she painted, which, considering she created around 150 paintings in her life, meaning roughly a third of all the work she produced were of her own face, sounds like a lot. But they say you should paint what you know, and Frida Kahlo pretty much knew two things more than anything else: her own face and pain. Lots of pain. I don't think it's possible for me to overstate the amount of pain she went through. Frida's father was a photographer, so she was very used to posing for the camera and seeing her own image from a young age. Despite her close relationship with her father, she had a difficult childhood. I'm just starting to feel like I say that on every video I do, but it's maybe more true of Frida Kahlo than any artist I've covered so far. Already having to overcome being stricken by polio as a child aged 6, causing disfigurement of her right leg and a permanent limp, she was severely injured in a bus accident at age 18, which caused her lifelong medical issues. She suffered many horrific injuries in the accident. Her pelvic bone was fractured, she was impaled by an iron handrail which punctured her abdomen and uterus. Her right leg was broken in 11 places, her right foot was crushed and dislocated, her ribs were broken, her collarbone broken, and her shoulder dislocated. But perhaps worst of all, her spinal column was broken in 3 places and 3 vertebrae were displaced. So next time you complain about having to wait a few minutes for a bus or being stuck in traffic, just remember, could be worse. Already a few years behind in her education because of all the polio, this accident destroyed Frida's hopes of becoming a doctor. During her recovery in hospital, she spent several months stuck completely stationary in a hospital bed looking straight up. If only she'd been born 100 years later, she could have subscribed to my channel and watched a great new video about art every month. So why not subscribe just in case you get involved in a life-changing traumatic bus accident tomorrow? Unfortunately, Frida Kahlo lived before the invention of the internet, so instead she started to paint from her hospital bed, with a specially modified canvas placed above it. It had a mirror installed above the canvas, so naturally self-portraits became a large part of her work, as her own face was pretty much all she saw for months on end. Unfortunately, Frida had to undergo dozens of agonising operations throughout her life and lived in near constant pain. This heavily influenced her art, because, well, it would, wouldn't it? It's hard to paint nice fluffy cartoons if you're going through searing intense pain 24 hours a day. A large number of her operations involved her spine, which she painted about. At one point the operations left her with no appetite, leading to her being force-fed, which she painted about. She also had several failed pregnancies, which she painted about, confronting her intensely personal pain rather than hiding from it as many people would. Frida was always unafraid to show herself in unflattering and deeply personal situations. This was also reflected in the way she portrayed her own face. Her now iconic monobrow and hairy top lip would be airbrushed out by any self-respecting influencer these days. But if anything, the hairy lip and monobrow are more visible in self-portraits than in photos of her from the time. In the modern age of social media where there's so many people carefully managing and choreographing their public image, that sort of raw honesty really stands out. This particular painting was completed just months after her divorce from husband Diego Rivera, after both had multiple extramarital affairs, with Diego sleeping with Frida's sister, which could be best described as the pinnacle of scumbaggery, and Frida famously cheating on him with both men and women, which was quite scandalous at the time. For any fans of symbolism out there, there's symbolism all over the gaff in this painting. Frida has a thorn necklace causing her constant pain, just like her medical issues, and around her neck hangs a hummingbird, which is considered a good luck charm for falling in love in Mexican culture, but hangs dead and lifeless around her neck, likely referencing her divorce. There's a black cat on her left shoulder, a symbol of bad luck, and a monkey, a symbol of evil, looming over her right shoulder. Before their divorce, Diego had gifted her a spider monkey, which she kept as one of her many pets, but here the monkey is tugging on the thorns around her neck, causing her pain to intensify. Frida also shows herself as surrounded by deep undergrowth, giving a feeling of claustrophobia and of being trapped. Throughout the history of art, there's been many movements and isms. Frida Kahlo was creating art in the first half of the 20th century, at a time when there was a really big schism of isms. Terms like Surrealism, Cubism, Expressionism, Dadaism, Futurism and Fauvism were all being thrown around like racial epithets in a Quentin Tarantino movie. Frida was often referred to as a Surrealist, where paintings often feature bizarre juxtapositions and dreamlike situations. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's a whole other video. But she wasn't keen on the term, and when she went to Europe to meet the key players in the movement and display her works, she wasn't impressed, describing the Parisian Surrealists as a bunch of cuckoo lunatics who she couldn't stand. She denounced the Surrealist tag, saying, "I never painted my dreams, I painted my own reality." Kahlo was very politically active and was protesting right up to her death despite her ever-worsening health. Passionate about her Mexican heritage, she became a member of the Mexican Communist Party in 1928, though she resigned her membership in 1929 after her husband was kicked out for his support of the Third International Communist Party, and she later joined the Fourth International Communist Party and finally returned to the Mexican Communist Party in 1948. So it sounds like they had a whole People's Front of Judea, Judean People's Front thing going on there. Her later works were blatantly propagandist and featured the subtly titled "Marxism Will Heal the Sick" and a self-portrait with Stalin. When she died, her coffin was draped in a red flag with a hammer and sickle. Subtle. Frida led an amazing life. Though cut tragically short at just 47 years of age, she managed to become a world-renowned artist, becoming the first 20th century Mexican artist exhibited in the Louvre in 1939. She was also a political activist, hooked up with showgirls, artists and Leon Trotsky. She was a feminist icon, LGBTQ icon, Mexican icon, and even managed to become a style icon. To do all that despite being in constant physical and often emotional agony, it's pretty impressive. So why would you want to airbrush the person who could achieve all that? Thanks for watching. I upload a new video every month, so please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment if there's any other stories you think I should cover. See you next month.